Deputy Prime Minister, Minister Halls, other members of the Cabinet, and members of the National Assembly and Senate, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, my friend, the Deputy Mayor of Belmopan and his wife, distinguished members of government offices, the President of the University of Belize, other officers, deans, faculty members, administrators, friends and family, and most importantly, graduates. Good morning. Good afternoon. I want to first say how humbled and honored I am to have been invited to this commencement exercise for this our national university. At municipal and central government, we often talk about sustainable development. We talk about the national development agenda. But you, faculty, staff, administrators, students, you are the development of Belize. You are the vision and plans of national development in action. I want to congratulate the President, the Chairman, faculty and staff, and all the outstanding visionaries of UB for making this institution a vehicle for national development, for churning out year after year individuals who take their place in high office as our teachers or nurses or accountants or business leaders or engineers, those people who make our country move forward. You should be honored, celebrated, and elated for this accomplishment. There are those who talk negatively about graduation. They criticize the fuss, the expense, the pomp, and the formality of it all. But seeing you here today, all clean-shaven and pristine, filled with excitement and trepidation at what the future holds, boldly taking those next steps into a world filled with more promise because of your entry, I cannot help but feel that it's all worth it, that you are all worth it. But graduation is more than merely a ritual ceremony. There is a special meaning as to why we gather here today, why we as a community convene. First, it is a time to honor your great accomplishment, to say that you have done well, graduates, and to recognize that you have achieved another milestone in your formation. It is no small thing to graduate from a university. And for some of you, you are the first in your family to do so. Others juggle education with raising children and working, and that makes it an extra special accomplishment this morning. So congratulations are in order, that after all the courses and after all the teachers, some who frustrated you and some who inspired you, after all the late night studying and the exams and the headaches and the anxieties, the days when you wanted to quit, and after paying all those bills and your fees, you are finally here graduating from this institution. Your success required discipline, commitment, sacrifice. And for this, the entire community gathers to say that we are so very proud of you. That it is our hope and our prayer that this day is all that it should be for you, full of memories and laughter, pride and celebration. In the words of another graduation speaker, big up on yourself because you don't deserve it. But this success is not yours alone. Your parents and teachers and this great hallowed national institution and the community at large share in the glory of this day because they too have sacrificed. They have held your hands and encouraged and supported you along the way. And they too are deserving of our praise and commendation. But even greater than celebrating accomplishments, this is a time for the community to settle accounts with you, to recognize that we gather not only to congratulate you, but to see you on your way, and to say that we have great expectations for your future. That after so much has been invested in you, we now expect that you will deliver for us. For your parents who have paid so much for your education, there is an expectation that you will now start paying some of their bills. For your lecturers and administrators, there is an expectation that you will do great credit and add to the reputation of this or national university. That you will use the knowledge and capacities gained here to positively serve and impact your world. For your community and country, there is an expectation that you will pass through these walls and be thinkers and challengers and change makers of this our great Belizean nation. That you will take up the reins to move our country forward. And I'm sure that each and every one of you have great expectations for yourself. So as you reflect on this day, I hope that you will see your graduation from this institution not as an ending and not even as a beginning, but as part of the never-ending process of your becoming, of your growing and learning and evolving into something new and better. Today is also about our community and country reflecting on what we are doing in education and assessing ourselves. I oftentimes think about the fact that some of the most successful people in the world are not university graduates, and that often the one who doodles in class and is labeled the slacker, he becomes tomorrow's Picasso. What does this tell us about whether our educational institutions are centers of excellence and laboratories where the minds of our students can experiment freely and where they grow wings and take flight? Are we doing right by you? Are we properly equipping and empowering you with relevant knowledge and supporting you to answer the charge that our community has now bestowed upon you? Are we training you to create and not to expect, to be shapers of your circumstances and not to be shaped by your circumstances? Are we teaching you to be innovators and risk takers, critical thinkers and problem solvers, and to be ethical and community minded? Ultimately, the true test is not what you did within these walls, but what you will do out there in the world. That you and this institution and our community will be graded and assessed by the benefits and fruits that flow from your graduation. On this occasion, I want to share a few bits of so-called experience that I have garnered over the years. The first comes from my experience as a young student in Taekwondo and the symbolism of getting a black belt in martial arts. Not that I got a black belt in martial arts. As a student of martial arts advances from one stage to the next, that student goes from a white belt to a black belt. The student is muddied, weathered, and worn, blackened by the knowledge that has been implanted and the experiences and struggles that shape her. But as the student advances to a master and beyond the black belt, each additional notch as a second and third degree black belt and so on becomes white again, signifying that the student's thinking becomes purer, that the student goes back to that openness and innocence of when she first began. And so it should be with you, that so much has been poured into you, but that knowledge should not restrain, but it should empower you to think for yourself, to challenge ideas, to question why and how and who and where and what, and to form your own conclusions rather than sprouting the dogma and rhetoric of others. To face the world with the never-ending curiosity and optimism of a child, ever hungry for knowledge and meaningful relationships, ever hopeful, ever trusting, growing and learning and exploring and advancing, and free of the inhibitions and shackles that sometimes come with institutional learning. The second bit of experience comes from something that someone once told me. The person asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said very proudly, "I want to be a politician." The person's face turned sad. But he gave me one of the best pieces of advice that I've heard. He said, "Darrell, most politicians fail because of one simple reason. They do not understand that people do not like politicians. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the nicest person in the world, but the minute you take on that label, some people will dislike you." So he said, if you want to be a successful politician, and if you want to be a successful leader, the simple rule is never act like a politician. That has been one of the simple, defining characteristics of my professional public life. Never be the normal. Always strive to be different, to be unexpected, to set your own standards, and to be the standard for what others want to see. Be authentic in your own way and dance to the beat of your own drums. Each of you will enter a new phase of your life today, and you will undoubtedly take on or continue roles. If you're a teacher, be that teacher that inspires passion in your students. Be goofy and silly and fun. Go over and above what is expected to bring the best out in your students. If you are a nurse, be compassionate and attentive to the very fault. Give your all to your patients. If you continue in education, be that student that other students always think asks stupid questions. Live outside the box and be remembered for being different. The third bit of experience comes from a saying that I had when I first went to study in the United States. A person asked me during orientation week, which was the first week of school, where was my resume? I said to the person, "I'm attending school. I'm not looking for a job. I don't need a resume." And the person told me, no matter where you are, you always have to be marketing yourself. That when you come to that institution, you are being prepared from the very beginning to reflect on what skills and capacities you have that can contribute and add value to others, to your future employers, and to the wider community. That no one will ever give you a job, that you have to earn a job by showing what you can offer. And I've never forgotten that. I meet many people in my experience as an attorney and as a politician. And one of the single greatest things that they oftentimes ask for is a job. But in all the people that I have met, none of them have ever said to me, "This is what I can offer to your institution." So I challenge each and every one of you this morning, graduates, to orient your thinking about what value do you bring to your community. What worth and value does your diploma and your degree have, your knowledge has? What can you do for me and not what I can do for you? How can you add and improve and build your community? The fourth and last bit of experience comes from a very personal situation. 6 years ago, my wife and I lost our first child, Gabriella Alyssa Bradley. She lived for only 2.5 hours, and my wife and I watched her die. Beat by beat, we listened until her heart stopped. Graduates, no matter how many degrees or influence or money you have, there are certain things that you must recognize that in life you cannot change. Death is the most humbling of all experiences. It is the one thing we all have in common, that constant reminder that we are temporary beings, that we are here for only a season, and then we move out and we move on. Even your years at this institution has been temporary. This fact should remind us never to waste time, never to take moments for granted, and never discount the things that are truly important in life. That as high as you go, the only thing that you really can expect is to hope for the love of others and to love others. So value family, value friendships, value people, value your reputation more than anything else in life. In closing, I want to again recognize and pay tribute to this wonderful institution and the work that you have and continue to do to provide our society with its champions of today and tomorrow. I think the University of Belize has not been celebrated enough for serving our nation as a beacon for national development, as being a farm ground to provide that steady supply of bright young and not so young minds, most of whom will stay within our communities and country and contribute to national development through your efforts. Graduates, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of the ceremony.